What would it be like to be a surf entrepreneur? You know, somebody who devotes their life and business to the world of surfing and all that it represents. Well, I do have this perfect guest lined up for you today. Her name is Kassia Meador, and at one point, she was ranked #2 in the world for women's longboard surfing. Yeah, she knows her way around the breaks, we'll put it that way. But her business now, she's involved in producing wetsuits for clients all over the world. She also has online courses teaching people how to surf. And she also offers surf retreats where she takes clients around the world to these really exotic locales and yeah, shows them a good time, certainly, shows them how to surf and a bunch more. And we're gonna get into all of that in this video highlights compilation of the main talk that I had with her. So, in this talk, you can expect to hear some unique takes on entrepreneurship. And spoiler alert, I've spoken to a lot of people on this program, Life as a, and what Kassia offered was quite unique. And I think you're really gonna like it. Beyond that, we look at things like just life and living in general. Even if you're not involved or have an interest in the surfing sort of world of entrepreneurship, a lot of these things from our conversation were deeper, and they apply to just about anything and everything in life as far as finding purpose and meaning in the work that you do. We also touch on notions of environmentalism and a bunch more. So again, as always, I encourage you to listen to the full talk, and you can do so wherever you access your podcast. Just do that search for Life as a ... All right, well, why don't we get into this video compilation? Okay, well, first up, here is a clip of Kassia explaining the meaning of entrepreneurship to her. And as I mentioned in the intro, I speak to a lot of people about this. I hear a lot of different takes on it, but you know, the way she explained it, it was a little bit deeper, a little bit more meaningful, dare I say. I really, really liked it, and I think you will too. So have a listen.
It's like being able to share what I know and love and utilize the skills that I've gained through my life and what I've
Yeah,
done in my life. And then my intention being it to enrich other people's lives and livelihood by what I either create, whether it's through my wetsuits and or my retreats and those
yeah,
experiences that I do. So I really it's not just about acquiring something. It's not just about purchasing
yeah.
something. It's not acquisitional as it is experientially trading energy for one thing, you know? So like,
Mm-hmm.
does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
like, oh yeah, like as I create this product because I'm creating something from a place of wanting it myself.
Yeah,
And then when I get to see somebody in the water wearing one of my wetsuits and they're like so stoked,
yeah,
that brings so much joy to me and fuels me doing more wetsuits. And
yeah,
then when it comes to the retreats, it's the same way. When people leave my retreats and their lives are transformed, they're surfing better than ever
yeah,
before. They create community off of
yeah,
that. That's why I do it.
yeah.
And that is the exchange. And I love that.
Well, this next clip is on the tail end of a discussion that we had about her business, about her service offerings, you know, the product offerings, the wetsuits, the online courses, and then these surf retreats. And we got on this tangent about, you know, some of the discussions that are had on the retreats where people are finding themselves or finding deeper meaning within their own lives. So this is, you know, a really interesting portion of the discussion that I just had to share with you. Check it out.
You're surfing like you're in the moment, right? Like you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future, you're just there. And that sort of metaphor, you know, that's where we should be a lot more often than when we are, you know, within life, you know. And we get caught in the past, reliving moments, things that have already happened, or opposite, you know, we're glued on the future and we're just ignoring everything that's taking place around us. Whereas surfing sort of like grounds us in that sense, right? And I could see how that would help facilitate those kind of discussions. It enters you into the state of reflection, but a healthy state of reflection, you know, where things are right now, where you'd like to be perhaps, but you're not being stuck in one particular area. And I don't know if I'm on anything there, but I could see how that would all sort of like come together on maybe some of these retreats that you're having. So yeah, it sounds like it the way you just explained it. You know,
Absolutely. It's epic
yeah.
too. It's epic because it's like
Oh,
people sometimes they come to go surfing and to get a
yeah,
sweet tan and to like have a
yeah,
massage and to connect with people and have a good time. And oftentimes they're like, wow, I came for this one thing and I
right,
didn't realize that it would also help to address all these other things that I've been
exactly.
navigating in my life.
Yeah,
And like, wow, I've also had this like amazing experience navigating it. And it's raw and it's vulnerable. And there's a lot that can come up. And it can also just be like the best time ever. And you can
yeah.
just be surfing and it can be very light.
Well, you might have noticed already, this conversation that I had with Cassie, it ran deep at times. It was philosophical, it was meaningful on a lot of different levels. And here's another clip actually where Cassie is explaining this great surf sort of metaphor on life, on living, and how she sort of frames the world, how she frames her business, how she frames her own personal fulfillment and purpose and passion and all these different things. And I think it was really, really insightful, and it's helpful to anyone right now who is kind of searching for meaning in their work, in their life. So have a listen.
You had a guest on here that was talking about sailing and really the wind in the sails. Well, if there wasn't tension in the sails, you wouldn't be going anywhere.
Right.
So, where is that tension, and how are you meeting those points of tension, and how are you holding your line with that tension? Because, I mean, surfing, when you're talking about hydrodynamics, it's actually leaning into points of tension and release that you
Yeah.
actually create movement on a wave. And I think that that's something that isn't spoken to as much. People are
Mm,
like, oh, if it's not easy, why do it? Oh, things don't feel like in flow. I'm meeting some points of tension. Well,
yeah.
what is the point of everything anyway, right? What is the point of our lives?
Right.
It's not to create some successful company and never have any seeming failures. It's not to just be the most whatever success even means person out there. It's to learn and evolve and grow
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
inspire yourself and other people. So it's often I find that in those moments of tension, when you can lean into it, obviously not just like blatantly going against all odds and like annihilating yourself. Maybe there's a point of that too, to a degree. That being said, where are those points of tension?
Yeah.
Where can you really push yourself the most through that? And how can you work with every opportunity and everything that comes up as you're navigating this like multi-dimensional business space, life space, like all of these things that
Yeah.
we're doing, and really move past it and learn from it in the most optimal way.
Now, in speaking with Cassia, I picked up right away that she's a woman who is, one, quite driven, has a lot of unique experiences, but also has a lot of clarity. And I'm sure you've picked up on that already, in terms of how she frames life, how she frames her business and her place within it all. So I kind of wanted to dig into that further and find out her why. Find out a little bit more about that, because I think, again, what she's sharing is really insightful and also, quite frankly, inspiring. So here's a clip of her explaining her why, her meaning for what she does.
What is it that you do and why? And what value does what you do in the world have to contribute?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm constantly questioning myself, because getting to this place in my career, it came from being a professional surfer,
Yeah.
which felt like a purely selfish endeavor, and that I wasn't actually doing anything positive for the planet or humanity.
Mm,
It just felt like I was acquiring.
yeah.
And a huge part of why I do everything I do is to give back
Mm,
and to really find value in what I can contribute. So in
yeah.
teaching, I feel like there's so much value in teaching, because you're able to share like the whatever
Yeah.
26 years of my life that I've spent surfing. The fact that I'm able to share this experience and share this expertise with people makes me feel whole.
Yeah.
When it comes to creating wetsuits, it's out of, like I kind of mentioned, a place of what I feel like I want, what I feel wasn't represented before, because for the most part, there was a lot of men making women's wetsuits.
Now, I do have one more clip that I want to show you, and this one represents a topic that we're all keyed in on, or most people are, and should be, quite frankly. And it's this notion of environmental issues, environmentalism. And Kassia has a lot of opinions and ideas on this as it pertains to her and her business and her mission and what fulfills her. So I really wanted to include this in the lineup here. So have a listen to this one too.
Business and your brand isn't just about, like, well, at this point, it's quite clear it's not just about dollars and cents. There's so much more meaning behind it, but on the environmental side as well, and what it represents. Maybe you could share a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. I mean, as a person that's I've been so grateful to travel to so many developing nations and truly all over the world since I was younger. And because of that, I've also witnessed a lot of our first world over consumerism and waste, and how, all drains lead to the ocean. And so literally, I'm swimming in it. There's no getting out of it. And just seeing the huge need for more mindfulness, not only in what we produce, how we produce, end of life cycles, and all of this. I also see a huge need for what's under the surface, which I think is a bigger metaphor for just like everything in general. But really, hanging on the beach, looking out at the ocean from the sand, it looks pretty groovy. Like, hey, there's all this blue water, looks healthy to me. When you dive under, you're noticing really the issues. So what are you willing to see beyond the surface? And then when you see it, you can't unsee it. So how are you going to help support it? And that's another reason that I left professional surfing to start my own company, because I wanted to really fuel not the things that I didn't want to be happening, but fueling the things that I knew were a huge part of us getting ourselves out of the mess that we created for ourselves as a species on this planet. So, we're a 2% for the planet company. We put, 1%, but we give 2% back to sea trees and receding our kelp forests and mangrove forests, because when it comes to sequestering carbon, the ocean and ocean carbon sequestering is like 85% of our global carbon emissions get sequestered in the ocean. Huge.
Yeah.
I'm also an ambassador for Surfrider Foundation, Save the Waves. And currently I'm on the Vision Council for Save the Waves. So Save the Waves initiative is really in and around protecting waves, which again sounds selfish. Like, oh, what, you're just here protecting this wave. Well, if you're protecting the wave, you're protecting the whole ecosystem that surrounds that wave, which then feeds back to the community, the animals, the life force, the biodiversity within that area.
All right, well, we are drawing to a close here, but I do encourage you to check out the full-length audio version wherever you access your podcast. Just search for Lifeasa ... And in that conversation, you're going to hear things about how she goes about balancing her life between surfing itself and her business. We also get into notions of advice that she would give to young and aspiring surfers or young and aspiring entrepreneurs. How to choose a career, how to decide on some big key moments in one's life. And also too, there's a whole bunch more, including a really engaging story that you don't want to miss. So as always, this is kind of that awkward point in the video here. I would really, really appreciate a like or subscribe. This is the only way that this YouTube algorithm knows to keep pushing content out in front of others. And again, I could be biased here, but I think this stuff matters, right? It has the power to really shift and change people's lives, their whole life trajectory, finding something that inspires them. So yeah, a like or subscribe would be wholly appreciated. And as always, I will have another video coming out right next week, so stay tuned for that. All right, we'll see you later.